It's that time of the year, not the time of the year I set goals or anything like that, as I set goals all the time, but it's that time of the year to get my 18-month schedule in place with vendors and other folks. Hey, this is Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. I'm going to share with you a productivity strategy that puts you in control of your day-to-day life and generates for you influence in the marketplace so that you can actually get things done. So what do I do once a year? Many of my clients do this as well. Once or twice a year, we sit down and set up an 18-month schedule. Basically, if you own a property or you have a rental property or you own a business and have a building, there's certain maintenance that needs to be done on that building. There's certain types of preventative checks. There's certain types of actual scheduled maintenance. Anytime you have big projects, there's milestones to meet. Anytime that you have goals or objectives, there's goals and milestones that you want to achieve. By putting them on a calendar in advance and using such as a schedule advisory, you can build the rest of your work days around the things that must be done. See, so many high-income professionals and entrepreneurs go through an entire year and then struggle at the end of the year to set goals that they never achieve because they just simply don't have a plan. What I'm advocating that you do here is you schedule out your mainframe activities. So, just like anybody else who's got a house, the HVAC system needs to be repaired or replaced, or at least needs to be maintained. The plumbing needs to be updated or changed. There could be a change in electricity. These are home infrastructure items. Now, if you've got a caretaker, your caretaker is going to take care of these things, and you might meet with a caretaker every quarter to discuss what needs to be done. But if you don't have a caretaker, then you've got to make sure that at least every month these things are taken care of. What about vehicle inspection? Your vehicle inspection needs to be done once a year. How do you get that on the calendar? Well, most people wait to the last minute. They're driving around on expired inspection tags or expired tags for the vehicle, and then they just hope they don't get caught. It's a lot of anxiety that's not necessary. Why not schedule it on the calendar in advance? What about medical appointments and physicals and checkups? Schedule it on the calendar in advance. So I'll take a week a year and I'll schedule out 18 months. And I usually on a 6-month window schedule out again. And now this is my personal involvement. The month-to-month scheduling, such as client appointments and work-related items, are taken care of by my administrative assistant. And often I will make adjustments to that using the schedule advisory that we discuss in our productivity programs. The key value to this is that if you plan to reach a certain goal by January of 2020, that you reach that goal because it's already slated out on the calendar. Not just the date of achievement, but those critical tasks that are necessary to get to that point in a quick and efficient manner. Now, a lot of folks, they just kind of roll with the punches. Not highly productive individuals, not those producers in the marketplace who demand high incomes, high value. Now, if you know you have a business trip in February 2020, why not get that on the calendar and then wrap around that business trip some of the other activities that need to get done? What needs to be done before the trip? What needs to be done after the trip? Now, some of these activities will be managed in a project calendar. Some of them will be managed in your everyday calendar, and others will be managed in a specialized calendar for maybe a business unit or your household, for example. Each of these calendars are established according to who needs access. Your family calendar may include free busy times for everything else, but it also may include blocked out times that you spend specifically with your family. Remember, Inside Strategic Relations is about cultivating business relationships. And very often a result of strong and powerful business relationships is a better lifestyle, more time with your family, and a higher and more valuable quality of life. Now, what we're doing here is we're framing out those things that we need to do, but we're also optimizing our calendar. What usually ends up is I have 1 or 2 days every month where in the middle of the week, I take the entire day off. These are very often errand days. So if I can't get somebody to go run the errands, it's a task that must be done by me. I will go ahead and get a day a month that I stack up the haircut, picking up any prescription medication, or dropping off anything that requires my physical presence. Sometimes I'll use that day to drop off a vehicle and I will drop it off at the end of the day, have the dealership drive me back to my house, and then the next day when the vehicle is complete and the evening, the dealership will pick me up after work and take me to pick up my vehicle. This gives me a full day of using my vehicle to get a haircut, to run personal errands, to go out to lunch with friends or something like that. And then, of course, dropping the vehicle off at night. It's on their lot all night. They can get working on it early in the morning, first shift, and usually by noon the next day, my vehicle is available for me. This beats taking the day off of work and sitting in an office somewhere, or sitting at a dealership, or having them drop you, go to the dealership early in the morning and have them drop you off at the office, and then after the office, have them pick you up. We just make it simple. We have this one day a week that we take care of things. Now, I'll stack other tasks on top of that. So if I have a medical appointment, I'm going to try to get my kid's medical appointment the same day. If I have a big event I need to prepare for, like, for example, I'm going to go on business travel, I might take a half a day off, and then the other half of that day, I'm going to sort out household stuff so that I can be ready to travel. I have a meeting that's scheduled with my administrative staff or any vendors working for me that is a regular block of time where I'll call to follow up with vendors. I'll call to meet with my staff. I have blocks of time for private clients. There's the work I'm doing for private clients, but then there's also the administrative time that's necessary to cultivate the relationship with private clients, to understand their situation, and to make sure that my team is doing quality work for them. It is a simple effort that you can take to lay out the framework of your next 18 months. Now, every week, you're still going to have your daily huddle. You're still going to have your interaction times, but I want to make a little commentary on how people usually function their time. Very often, the average person is very reactive. They get a text message, they respond. They get a phone call, they respond. What I'm advocating for producers is that you return calls rather than make calls or receive calls. You are often in a position where you have a list of things to be done that you can sift and sort and do them on your time schedule rather than, very reactive. So I was talking with the HVAC company that comes out, they are electrical, HVAC, and plumbing, and they come out and do yearly inspections on my properties, and they give me a punch list of what's going on. And that in itself is a tip, by the way. You can work off these punch lists instead of being responsive when things break. You're actually preventative and you're proactive about finding things before they break so that you aren't experiencing the disruption. But I was talking to them and they said, look, we're going to text you 24 hours before your appointment so that you know about your appointments. Well, I'm explaining to them that I know about my appointment now because I'm scheduling it on my calendar. Don't text me. I'm not even going to see the text. But the average person, they want text alerts. They want constant reminders. They want telephone calls. And that's because they're not very organized. They're very reactive. I don't want that from my clients. I want my clients to know what's going on. And then, you know what? Don't text me. Text my assistant. Text my caretaker. Text somebody who's going to unlock the door for you. Text a concierge who works in the community. They might not be somebody who's full-time employed for you. But if you've got to unlock a door at a rental property and you've got other work you're supposed to be doing, and the other work has greater monetary value or greater focal value, then text somebody else. Don't text me. But for the work to actually get done, by having it on the calendar in advance, it really helps drive forward results. Now, what I find happens when I follow the system is that when I sit down, I usually sit down once a month and update my calendar. But when I sit down for this yearly structural framework item, I get the dates that I want and that are most time effective for me. And this is very important because if I'm going to go out for an errand day, for example, and I got this one day a month that I go out and I run all these errands, I don't have to go out 5 times because I did all 5 errands in one day. I can basically set up a route. I can drive and do what I need to do right away. I can plan to meet with other people. And I got this strategy from being a salesperson. So when I was doing my IT services work and I was selling services all over the Mid-Atlantic region, if I had to be in Philadelphia for something, I set up 4 or 5 appointments because I was already in Philadelphia. If I was in Washington, D.C., I'd set up 4 or 5 appointments, and I'd meet with people, shake hands, get to know what's going on. I would visit job sites for my people that were working out in the field. I would visit subcontractors. But if I'm going to be in a region, I'm going to make the most of it rather than driving back and forth and spending a lot of windshield time. This is a time effectiveness. This is a time productivity. This is a way of taking control of your day by basically putting down the big rocks first. Your medical appointments, the self-care items. Now, you'd also want to put out your vacations. So you schedule this one time a year. Now, you can make it 4 times a year, but I think you can get away with just once a year. You set out your vacations in advance. Now, you might be saying, well, I don't know that my work will let me go at that time. It's not about what someone else is going to let you do. You're going to take a vacation in July. You're going to such and such a place. Work around it. See, the problem with a lot of high-income professionals and entrepreneurs is they basically believe they work for someone else. And by working for someone else, they become a slave to that environment, the slave to those pressures. And they do not allow themselves to have that control, which in some ways, the business needs you to be in a position where you don't have control. That way, if there's a fire, that you're going to respond because you have that fear, you have that concern, you have that worry. But if you've established in advance what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to reach your goals faster, you're going to get on target quicker, and you're going to be able to give appropriate feedback so that things happen around the things that you need to get done. Nothing is worse than looking back and realizing that many of the things that you planned to do never happened. And very often it's simply because there wasn't an 18-month calendar. Sure, there's probably a 2-week calendar. There's probably, what are we doing next month? No, what are you doing for the next 18 months, and how is that driving forward the goals and objectives that you have? How does that build forward in the desires and in the dreams that you've presented for yourself? Now, sometimes you'll realize things are not realistic. You're going to look at the next 18 months and you're going to say, look, I'm not going to be able to fit some of this stuff in. We'll have to make adjustments. You're going to look at your projects. This is why I designate a whole week a year, which is simply strategic planning, which is simply alignment of goals and perspectives. You may need to do this with a project calendar. So you might, for your personal life, do a plan once a year. For your business life, a plan once a year. And then for projects once a year. And that could fill up and be planning every month. But ultimately, without a plan for yourself, you're working for someone else's plan. So here's how it works. You simply get out your schedule advisory, and a schedule advisory is a list of those activities that are upcoming. You make a list of anything that is necessary, and you mark to be determined next to it. And then you simply schedule a block on your calendar to sit down and make calls, to make the appointments, to set up the meetings. Now, if you have an assistant to do this for you, you can start informing them about different days or weeks where you want certain types of activities. Like, for example, I like to do my medical physicals and my dental and my eye exams on different weeks. I don't want all that on the same day, because sometimes for the medical, you might have to do a fasting for a blood test, or for the eye, they might dilate your eyes. So I want to be able to get to these places. Now, I can't delegate somebody to go take my physical for me. I got to actually show up there. So I might as well put it on the calendar in advance. So I get my physical on one day, and then maybe the next month I'll do my eye exam, and then the following month I'll do dental. And then those things are taken care of. They're on the calendar. They're set. Now, if something comes up at work, well, it just doesn't happen because I schedule everything around those activities. So I go ahead and take the day off if I'm using vacation time, or I have my assistant schedule appointments around this fixed time. These are anchors. These are guideposts along your productive year. So if all you're doing is setting goals once a year and kind of getting an idea what needs to be done in that year, you're not moving to where you need to be. So if you want influence over both your time, the resources that are available to you, and access to talent, then this is the plan that makes it happen. If you'd like more details about using a schedule advisory, about planning your months, weeks, and years to get better results more efficiently, Then you're going to visit us at www.insidestrategicrelations.com. I'm Justin Hitt with InsideStrategicRelations.com, where I help you create and keep profitable customers and transform business relationships. And having a clear schedule helps you transform relationships into profits, because you're going to be in the right place at the right time with the right people. You're going to get out of the way those administrative activities that require your 100% attention, and you're going to be more aware in a proactive, preventative approach about the world around you, the environment and situations around you. You're going to schedule in advance your marketing. You're going to schedule in advance your personal development. You're going to schedule in advance your goal achievement. You're going to schedule in advance something so that you don't have time to be distracted. You don't have time to fall by the wayside. Again, I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. I want to thank you for listening. You can ask your questions at www.insidestrategicrelations.com.